question pops into your head, or just to come up and say hi to Michelle, and we'll get to you, as many of you as we can, within the next half an hour or so. But Michelle, Comic Cons, you love this kind of thing, right? You've got to meet these fans. What's it like for you when you come to this?
You know, this is the best, and I've said this many times, but when I first started with Star Trek, Jonathan Frakes first told me that this is unlike any other show you'll ever do, because as soon as this show drops, you will have 10 million friends, family members really, across the world, because Star Trek, a franchise that's been around for almost 60 years, unites us all, and he was absolutely right. From the very first Comic-Con I went to on San Diego, did I find like, oh, we really do have all these friends and family members. It's an amazing experience.
And it's a global thing, you know, you can travel anywhere in the world and you get there.
Exactly, yeah.
Obviously you will have known of Star Trek, but how, were you a fan? Have you seen much of it before you took the role on? How much of a Trekkie were you beforehand?
Yeah, I've said this, but it bears repeating. My family, I'm biracial, I'm black and white, and my father knew that when we were little girls, me and my two sisters, it was important for us to see ourselves represented in the world. So when we were young, my father had us watch the old Star Trek so that we could see Uhura on screen, and to see this beautiful, powerful, strong black woman on stage, not just a beautiful black woman, but have purpose and have a voice and have a reason to be there. I think Nichelle Nichols gave me and my sisters the permission to be brave and bold and to be here and to be unapologetically ourselves. So yeah, my whole entire family watched it, and I think that's what Star Trek does for families. You know, even if we're kind of different and we're, unique and all that kind of stuff, you really can find yourself in Star Trek. And I love the fact that families can watch it together and pass it down generationally.
Absolutely. So when the opportunity came up to work on this, was this a no-brainer? Was this, I have to take it?
I mean, I have to say, being so, rewarded with 3 seasons of this, it literally has been like my birthday every single day. Every time, having a 5 a.m. call, working all hours, and then coming home at night, I had a smile on my face. First season I worked so much with Sir Patrick Stewart. Second season I worked so much with Jerry Ryan. Third season I worked so much with Michael Dorn. I mean, it's not a bad day for me. It was pretty good. So it was literally, it still is a gift, an honor. I'm grateful, I'm humbled, especially as a woman of a certain age who's been doing this for 3 decades at this part of my career, to have this fall into my lap. I'm so forever grateful, and grateful for the community to welcome me. It's been beautiful.
And working with Patrick Stewart, obviously the franchise means so much to him, and he's come back to it, for that reason. Did he give you any advice or any knowledge or anything about the whole Star Trek universe?
Well, the first scene that I have with him, I pulled a big gun on him and tell him to, bugger off. And I think I said to him, I was like, oh, I'm so scared, people are going to hate me and all that stuff. He's like, no, darling, you should really push hard. Push hard against me, they'll love you. So he was all for it, and he was such a sweetheart, and he's still been a sweetheart, and he's been so encouraging and helpful, and I get to call him my friend. It's just an amazing thing.
Absolutely. I mean, did you learn, you've been acting for such a long time, I don't know what more lessons you can learn, but when you're working alongside and opposite somebody like that, are you still picking things up? Are you still learning all the time?
I hope that we all are designed to learn something every day. I just said this to one of our Trekkie family members, that I hope that on my very last day on this planet, I hope that I say, oh, I didn't know that. Because wouldn't it be great that we learn something every single day, that is the purpose, the journey. There is no destination, there's no goal, like, oh, I finally, no. We're all a work in progress, and thank goodness for that. I'm not perfect, I don't ever want to be perfect, I don't even know what that is. I want to learn and grow and experience, and I want to be surrounded by people who are better than me. I want to be encouraged to rise to the occasion. I love being around Patrick, I love seeing how he works, I love going, oh man, how can I do that? How can I try to, explore try to do something you've never done and to experience a different way of creating art. It's the best. That's the best.
And what a great character Raffi is as well. You must have really enjoyed that. What was it about that character that appealed to you the most?
Well, I'm so grateful for Star Trek to create a character as perfectly as imperfect as Raffi is. Because as we know, Star Trek has always held a mirror up to society to show us as representing all of us. And we haven't always seen a character that is one of the people who are part of our world. People who have addictions, who stumble, who fall, who don't always do the right thing. And people who have addictions, there's addictions of all forms. There's eating disorders, there's gambling, there's sex, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's so many. And so many of us have people who are addicts in our lives. And they're still part of our lives. They're our family members, they're our loved ones. They're not to be dismissed or ignored. They're to be understood and have patience and have love and understanding. And I love the fact that even in these stories of Raffi, you see her try and fail and try again. The fifth episode in first season, when she goes to see her son, she goes to see her son. She's like, "Hey, I'm here," and he says, "No, you abandoned me for a decade. You don't get to just show up." And what does she do after that? She goes right back to the ship and she gets drunk. So she wasn't ready. And it's really important to tell the story. So I loved being able to inhabit the life of somebody who is real, whose people I know, to show that we are here in society, to bring to life the LGBTQ world, to show that love is love is love, and to show that we're all perfectly imperfect and that we deserve a place on this planet.
We had Zach Galligan up here a few moments ago, and he said coming up to the microphone here is like being the first person on the dance floor. It's like nobody wants to do it straight away.
Come on.
But I can tell you that the first person up here is going to be very warmly welcome, and then lots of people will join on behind you, I'm sure. So if anybody's got a question, you get up here straight away. Oh, while you're coming up, I'll tell you what, let's go straight to you, because you've made the effort. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself and give us a question.
Thank you for remembering my name. Thank you for very much for appreciate it. If you had any, Jerry on the set, behind the scenes, these stories.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I'm gonna tell. There was times where we were shooting downtown and we were doing this one scene and we literally could not get through the scene because cars kept like going by, helicopters. I think there's a blooper reel of us like trying to say, keep turning back. There was 2 days we shot the car scene where we were trying to, there's a camera in front of us, cameras on the side so we can't see anything. We both got car sick during it. She's got an infectious laugh. So whenever she starts giggling, I start giggling. I love her so very much. We're like two peas in a pod. She's one of my favorite partners on Run.
All wholesome ladies.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your questions. That was absolutely fantastic. Let's have the next person up. And introduce yourself and give us your question.
I'm James, and of course I love you from start to Hurd. It's absolutely brilliant, especially your scenes with Sir Patrick Stewart, Jerry Ryan, and Michael Gordon, like you said. But one film that I really loved seeing you in a few years ago was Anyone But You. I just feel that really reignited the trend for romantic comedies on the big screen, and I just wondered what was it like to go film that in Australia and be with rising stars like Ben Powell, who's now just taking the industry to a new level.
And Sydney Sweeney. Sydney was phenomenal as well. It was amazing. Will Gluck was the writer and director of that. Will Gluck did things like Easy A and Friends with Benefits. So he's a brilliant director. He knows comedy. He knows romantic comedy. I call him the director of Controlled Chaos. And I have to tell you guys, because there might be a concept of stars, and I think Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney are definitely that kind of concept. They are the kindest people you will ever meet. I mean, Glenn is he's so welcoming, he's so humble, he's just a hometown kind of guy. And Sydney is the sweetest thing. She actually was a Star Trek fan. She ran up to me. I'm like, no way, such a nice person. I mean, they were welcoming. been doing acting for 3 decades. We were in Australia for 2.5 months. While we were there, Easter Easter happened, so we had to take that break, a 4-day break. Dermot Mulroney rented a cabin up in the Blue Mountains. Our entire cast went to that cabin and we stayed for the entire weekend, cooked food together, hung out. I have never done that on any cast I've ever done, and we just had a wonderful time. We still have a text thread that we all check into, so it was a wonderful experience. And thanks for asking that, because I love that whole great people.
Wonderful question. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, come on, let's get you up. Let's keep these audience questions coming. We'll adjust that microphone for. Bless you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kim. My question is, so during season 3, we got to see Raffi and Wolf together, and you did some fantastic stage combat, including your swords. So I've seen you say before that you were really, really excited that you got to use your combat training. So if you could pick any role in Star Trek or anywhere else, what else do you have in your repertoire that you're like, let me do that, I've done the training, let me have that role?
That's such a good question. Can we do a female John Wick?
Yeah, do anything you want.
I want to do a female John Wick. Or can I be a Jedi? Any of those? Just putting it out there. Anybody? Yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Just something I wanted to touch on, just changing the topic, is your father, Hugh. He was an actor as well. And the work that he did to combat racial discrimination. Tell us a little bit about him, because he really changed a lot of things, didn't he?
My father, thank you for bringing him up. Hugh Hurd was an actor back in the day, in the 60s, 50s and 60s, and back then it was really hard as a black man in America. Not that it's that easy now. But my father and Maya Angelou and Godfrey Cambridge would create something called Cabaret Matinee for Freedom, where they created a cabaret for people to do acts to raise money for Dr. King, to march with Martin Luther King for freedom, for civil rights. And even with that, my father got blacklisted. He wasn't able to work because he fought so hard. As I said, I'm biracial. My mother's white. He was ostracized from a lot of scenarios because of that. There were some shows that my father did, theater, that he wouldn't want us to see because he played like the butler or, spear carrier or whatever. But I will tell you that he instilled in his daughters a strong will and an activism theme that pumps through my blood. It's almost impossible for me to stay silent when I witness injustice. I just can't do it. I'm, part of the national board of SAG-AFTRA. I'm running for Secretary of Treasury now of SAG-AFTRA. I sit as the chair of the Sexual Harassment Prevention Committee. I fight for neurodiversion and for our individuals with autism and on the spectrum, because they are incredible creatures, and if you don't know anybody who's neurodiverse, then that's a shame on you, because they will show the world to you in a different way, and you will see so many more colors and make this world a much more brilliant place. And I tell you, if you, there's a thing that some people say about, like, I don't see color, right? They're like, I'm colorblind, I don't see color. And I want this to include neurodiverse and LGBTQ. When you don't see the differences, when you walk into a room, you will never see that there is no difference. I want you to see and look for differences. Because then when you walk into a room, you can look and go, oh, we're missing something here. We're missing something here. And I mean LGBTQ, people with disabilities, people of all shades, shapes, sizes. We're all part of this world. And if we're all in the room together, we can answer every question. Every question.
And that is the essence of Star Trek, isn't it, right there?
And that's what my father gave me.
Absolutely, fantastic. And speaking of family, your husband's here as well.
Oh.
Garrett Dillahunt is in here as well.
What?
What I want want to know is, which of you has the longest queue at the autograph tables? Who's winning?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, by the way, again, with the Glenn Powell thing, when Garrett came out to Australia to visit me, Glenn ran over to Garrett to welcome him to set and said he studied him during acting class. I mean, what actor does that? I love our community. The arts is so huge, but it's really small and it's tight-knit, and we should all support each other. You got questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Michelle. My name is Junior. Just have to ask you something. Of course, you have an amazing career, being with Disney, Marvel, Star Trek, and everything. But I just want to say one thing to you first. It's amazing hearing you talking about the approach to life, how you approach your acting, how you look for this representation, and in a way that we all can be involved in it. So I just want to say thank you for that. Question for you: if you were a writer, what would be the perfect character for you, writing to yourself, to act?
That's a tough question.
I mean, that's such a big question. I know what, I know a show that I've seen here that I love, and I would love to do, Happy Valley.
Yeah,
oh my-
Sarah Lancashire, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I mean, if I could do that, there's something so amazing. And if you think about what her journey in that, she's flawed, she's haunted, she struggles, she really battles to get to achieve what she needs to achieve. I think that's what I like, is somehow, I like the struggle, because I think we all struggle. Even in the perfect day, we sort of struggle, there's like this year on my birthday, I'm a December baby, December 21st, and I was in New York, and I went outside, and I crossed the street, and I stepped on the sidewalk, and it snowed, and I slipped and I fell down. On my birthday, and I was like, on the ground, I was like, I'm on the ground on my birthday. How did that happen? Because I left it, I was like, this is going to be a great day. I'm like, how does that happen? Because these things happen. Because they happen, and I could have gone crazy, like, this is the, now it's going to be a terrible day. But no, I just fell. And I'm going to just pick myself up, like a little bit of bruise, and go on. And I think I think I would love to just create those kind of characters to show the struggle of life. I usually say I want to play a typical flawed individual in an extraordinary situation. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for saying such kind words. Appreciate it. Kindness is so powerful.
This gentleman's got a book out in November. We promoted it yesterday. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I was talking about your husband there. Now you got to act with your husband a couple of times now. Was the first time where you met, or did you already know each other before that? So explain how you met.
Yeah, no, we did a play together at Circle Rec Square, and it was kind of an interesting play. I mean, he'll tell you really quick. I had been doing a lot of television. I started in stage, did Broadway, the whole thing, and then I started doing a lot of TV, and I was like, I got to get back to stage. And I got this play, and I thought, oh, this is a really interesting character, and I got the play, and we were going to do a table read, and the director was like, oh, your partner, your love interest in this is a phenomenal actor, you're going to love him. I was like, awesome. Next day we have the table read, and I show up in the theater, and I was like, or at the stage, the theater, and I see John Cryer, and I see Missy Pyle, and I see all these people I recognize, and I see this one guy I don't recognize. Oh, that must be Garrett Dillon. So I go straight over to him, and I'm like, hi, my name is Michelle Hurd, I'm going to play your Palace. And I swear to God, you guys, you can ask him. He went like this. Hi, I'm Garrett. And I was like, okay, copy that, whatever. So I go talk to John, and we're talking, and out of the corner of my eye, I see him talking to Missy Pyle, and we're chatting, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And so throughout the whole rehearsal, I see he'd come over to me and talk, and like flick a pen in my eye or something. I was like, what is up with this guy? He's so strange. Cut to, I find out later that he said, when I came into the room, and this is many years ago, I was like in my 20s, and I'm a native New Yorker. It was August, which is very hot in New York. I used to like to rollerblade around. I happened to be wearing a crop top and a miniskirt, as one did back in the day. And he said, I came into the room and he was like, oh my God, who is this Amazon stains on this, and he's just panicked and he couldn't get it together. So that was our meeting. We had a great time working on that, and then we did a TV series together called Leap Years, and then we tried to get each other on each other's shows. He guessed on The Blades with me. I guessed on Raising Hope with him. I couldn't get him on Star Trek, and he couldn't get me on Fear, but we try to do that whenever we can. So yeah.
God, that's fantastic. Well, we've got a question from the audience. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Alex. So obviously throughout all the history of Trek, there's been so many characters that a lot of neurodiverse people are really related to, and like 709, Data, and I think a lot of people saw themselves in Raffi as well, like with how neurodiverse people may be more prone to addiction and everything just because of how the brain is wired and not being able to sit still and everything. But obviously within Trek there hasn't been like a really clear label of like neurodiversity. So how do you sort of represent sort of some of these truths that we as people live here today, but without the sort of like have actively labeling it as like one thing or another, because language can be different like in
Yeah,
the picture.
you know, it's interesting. I had a conversation with Jonathan Frakes about this because I was like, you know, I would hope that in the future, like in any of our Star Trek shows, that labels would be done. You know, I would hope that we would just be accepted. You know, so I would hope that, and I think that Star Trek is doing that. I think that we're bringing on characters and just bringing them on, and that you just you learn and experience who they are, and then maybe we, as our contemporary people, go, oh, that person is neurodivergent, oh, that person is LGBTQ, oh, that person is PWD or something. But that's in our you know, contemporary worlds. But I really hope, that, and I do hope that we get there sooner than later, that we get to a place that we just accept each other for who we are. You know, I always used to say when people would, you know, like, you know, people want to discriminate people or whatever, you know, I'm like, I could give you many reasons to hate me. You know, let me give you a reason to hate me. Don't hate me just because the way I look. You know what I mean? Like, let's get to know each other. Because I bet you we'll find more things in common than not. And if we don't, then we don't have to talk about it. But, you know, like that. So I'm hoping, I think that with Star Trek, what would be great is if we, you know, introduce these characters, but we don't label them. We show them that they're accepted and they're just part of our community. Thank you for that question.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. That's lovely. We have time for one more audience question, and if it's
You are that one.
so good luck. Enjoy it.
I was just wondering, I know you said that you've done a lot of activist work, which is fantastic. I think more people need to do that. Was there any other hobbies that you do sort of around work or just being sort of at home that you might have picked up on a set or picked up from someone that does it there?
I mean, for my father, I've done martial artists, goju, karate. I love going to see movies. I love animals, horseback riding. A little challenging when you're a New Yorker. From the time I was a little baby, I was like, can I have a horse? I'm like, not in an apartment. And I'm reading. I love, you know, stories. I just love, you know, stories. I think I'm just such an actor, such an artist that I love the whole world of artistry. I love going to galleries. I love seeing paintings. I love sculptures. I love, my sister's a dancer. She's an Albanelli teacher, and she was a dancer my entire life. And so I love seeing any kind of movement. And my eldest sister is a stage comeback choreographer. So it's all about the arts, and you know, I think that's all. That's kind of my hobby. Is that boring?
No. Was there any books that you would recommend anyone to read?
Well, I like, there's The Warded Man, which is really good, The Book Thief, which is really, really deep. What am I reading right now? I don't even remember what I'm reading right now. Come to my table, I'll come up with a list.
Thank you for your question. You mentioned martial arts there. Would it be unfair to ask you to do a move on stage, or is it a bit... Yeah? No. Don't worry, you can... Wow, even that's impressive. I can't get above there. That's right. The one thing that has never changed in Star Trek, well, there's probably a few things, but lots has changed. But I noticed through watching Picard that even from side to side in the spaceship. Can you show me a good lean to end on? How do we do
It's,
this?
it's so good because there was a moment when Jonathan Frakes was directing us and Sir Patrick Stewart was on the deck, and we were talking about that because we were doing a scene and we were all kind of going all over. And Jonathan was like, "Oh, Patrick, should we tell them?" And Patrick's like, yes, Johnny, show them how we do it." And Jonathan's like, "Okay, show them a number, like number 5." And Patrick does this and goes, "No, Johnny, do my favorite number." And Patrick sits there and Jonathan goes, 1, and Patrick goes. So we just call it number, we do that. I love that. We all fell out.
It's all based on numbers. I love it. You've been so fascinating and funny, and we love you playing